This is Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis.
This is the Sunday edition. It's a busy couple of hours straight ahead. Lots to get into after the usual busy Saturday in the National Hockey League. Some wild games, a whole bunch of interesting stories. We'll look ahead to the upcoming week. Got you covered for the next 7 days as well. On today's program, Dave Isaac covers the Philadelphia Flyers for the Courier-Post. He will join us. Flyers rolled over the Toronto Maple Leafs for a victory, snapping the Flyers' mini-losing skid and extending the Maple Leafs' losing streak. Corey Hirsch, the analyst for the Vancouver Canucks radio broadcast on Sportsnet in Vancouver, he will join us. Oh, it's been too long since we've talked to Corey Hirsch. Always such good conversation, good topics of discussion. We'll talk about the Canucks, of course. We'll talk about goaltending and a few other things. Josh Cooper, LA Kings contributor for NHL.com, among other things, will join us. What a victory by the Los Angeles Kings on Saturday. That was incredible. And, of course, it's Sunday. That means we're getting set for a new week in fantasy hockey. And, of course, our regular visit with Stephen Laidlaw, the managing editor of DobberHockey.com, will be here with this week's Fantasy 5. Hashtag Fantasy 5. Little help for you in your fantasy hockey pool. Maybe you're looking for a little scoring, maybe a little defensive help, something like that. Steve will be here with 5 names. Hashtag Fantasy 5. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, the Twitter and Instagram handles to follow us. We are here every Saturday and Sunday, 11 Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific, streaming live at hockeyunfiltered.com, powered by Primetime Radio, live on Facebook, live on Periscope, YouTube Live, numerous platforms to find us. And looking forward to a good couple of hours ahead and more good stories in the National Hockey League. I hope it's been a good weekend so far. There's lots of people doing the Halloween thing. I was never a big Halloween person, mostly because I couldn't get any good costumes. I was never any good at coming up with a good costume idea. But hopefully it's a good day. Hopefully it's positive. And as mentioned, the usual busy Saturday. We're here to sort of help you savor it, help you digest all that's occurred. I mentioned there was a lot of good stories, a lot of really interesting things that happened on Saturday. We had an afternoon game. I always like that, whether it's a single afternoon game, sometimes a couple of 3 afternoon games, maybe an early afternoon and a late afternoon if you're in the Eastern time zone. I kind of like that. We saw some beautiful, wonderful, spectacular, exciting play by very talented, artistic players out on the ice, lots of great finesse, lots of great speed and skill on display, beautiful goals, great talent, just a lot of really nice and wonderful things. There's also a few things that I have a few thoughts on that I want to ask some questions about. I have a few concerns. I think they're worthy of discussion. I think they're worthy of further examination. And I don't want to say I just want to gripe about stuff, because I don't like to just gripe and complain. If I have a suggestion or a question, or if I dislike something, I try to offer a solution. So, but there's a lot of really positive things and a lot of things I'm excited about. And we're kind of at a point now in the NHL season. This is the last Sunday of October, final few days of October. It's November 1st in a couple of days. We're starting to settle into that comfortable hockey routine now. We're getting towards 4 weeks, and this is the routine that you settle into. The anticipation, the excitement of the new season has passed, and now we're into it. Anytime you start a new project, you kind of pick up something after it's been away for a while, a really long hiatus. It takes a little while to sort of get into the routine again, to get comfortable, to feel that day-to-day rhythm of the task or whatever it is. It just sort of takes a while to restart and get the gears running smoothly again. Kind of like an airplane taking off, if you want. You got all this scurrying around, all this hustling and getting ready, and then you're rolling down the runway, and then you're climbing up and getting to that cruising altitude. And it's like, okay, we're here now. You flip on the autopilot and you just kind of fly along for a while. It's the same sort of thing. And we're reaching that point now in this 2017-2018 NHL season. We're also reaching another point in the season. We've played a few weeks, going on 4 weeks. Teams are, for the most part, at double digits. There's a few teams that haven't quite hit 10 games yet. Some have played as many as 12 games. But But each team's had a chance to get into the standard course for each day. They kind of get into this predictable point in the year. It's not a bad thing. It's just kind of how the normal flow goes. We're rolling along now. And part of that normal routine is the observation of who's off to a good start and which teams are struggling, which teams haven't gotten out of the gate as well as they had been expected. We're past the point of it's early, remember, but we're at the point where, okay, let's sort of take a little closer look. Let's examine the records. And oftentimes, people don't look closer than you look at the record and, oh, they're off to a good start. Oh, this team's off to a bad start. Usually the story is a little more involved than that. Everybody's at this point, and of course, from that, who's off to not a good start, who's out of the gate slow, who's lost a few games, who's not playing particularly well, is the immediate which coaches are on the hot seat. Look for that to come up now. It's starting already. Oh, which coach is on the hot seat? That's the salacious clickbait story that you'll start seeing more of. The Detroit Red Wings won their game on Saturday night in South Florida against the Panthers. They won in a shootout. Prior to that, Detroit Red Wings had lost 6 straight games. And of course, this means Jeff Blashill is the obvious target. He's on the hot seat. This once proud franchise, 25 straight years in the playoffs. They're not winning a lot. He must be on the hot seat. This is a great example of flinging poo at the wall to see if something sticks. It is no secret to anyone. The Detroit Red Wings are in kind of a tough spot. They are a team with a roster in politically correct HR speak is in transition. If you've watched the Ilitch family run this franchise for decades now, you should be smart enough to realize that they don't make abrupt or hasty choices. That's not the way they operate. Sure, I believe the Red Wings need a big overhaul. I think there's significant change that needs to occur with that team. I think it's something that's been needed for a little while. I don't think simply changing the coach will fix what is ailing the Detroit Red Wings, nor do I think it's going to happen. I think you need to look higher up the food chain. I think you look at how the organization approaches the game in the 2017, soon to be 2018 National Hockey League. I think that's a bit of a re-examination is in order. I'm not suggesting anyone get fired or lose their job necessarily. That may happen. That may be necessary to move forward. But I don't expect for a second that these kinds of changes and major shakeups are going to take place mid-season with the Detroit Red Wings. I mean, wouldn't a coaching change, if it was going to happen last year when it was tooth and nail trying to get into the postseason? No. So yes, there will be Jeff Blashill is on the hot seat stories, likely all season, because I don't think that there is a change that's going to take place. Some are even offering and suggesting candidates. I think that's premature to be, well, at best. I don't think there's going to be that kind of dramatic change. I think it's a team that's going to move forward at their own speed and make choices and decisions at the appropriate time. And it's not during the season. There's other questions about the team, how it's run, what the organizational structure is, what the roster looks like, both at the NHL level and through the American Hockey League. What are the staffing needs? Where do they need to look? How can they improve? How can they be better? This is not something that needs to be done on the fly. I think that's crazy and foolish. But yes, we will have the, Jeff Blashill's on the hot seat stories. Started a little bit yesterday. It'll probably continue because I'm not expecting the Red Wings to really take off and succeed and win an awful lot of games. So that will probably continue. I also expect in the coming week that we will hear a little bit about that with the head coach of the New York Rangers, Alain Vigneault. Now, this situation with Alain Vigneault and the New York Rangers, it's very different than the Detroit Red Wings. They, too, are a team that has started to transition and change their roster over the last year or two, wanted to get younger, wanted to get speedier. They understand and see that the game is moving in this direction. You need faster. You need skilled players. You don't want the heavy team, as it's described This is a different kind of league that we're starting to see. The game is evolving. But the situation with the Rangers, it's different than it is with the Detroit Red Wings. This is something that's happening. They also have a higher expectation of success this year. I don't know that anybody had a real big expectation for Detroit this season. Last year, missed the playoffs. We had that occur. And I don't think anyone was really expecting Detroit with almost identical roster, except for the addition of Trevor Daley to make a leap forward and get back into the playoffs this season. Rangers, even though they had made significant moves, trading Derek Stepan, signing Kevin Shattenkirk and others, they were still expected to be a playoff team. They have enough talent to be in the playoffs. They have enough talent that they should be fighting for a playoff spot, but they're not playing well. So yes, it's natural that you're going to look to a coaching staff, especially with a head coach that has been there through successful times, leading them to conference championships, to a Stanley Cup final, and had a great deal of success. And even though the roster is in transition, you're going to look to the coaching staff. They're very different situations between Detroit and New York. So that I can understand there will be finger pointing that takes place there. I still don't know that it's warranted. I don't know that the problem is with the head coach. Goaltender that has been the cornerstone of your franchise for so long has had good moments, but also had lapses. And that's been the case with the rest of your team as well. There are times when the Rangers look completely disorganized. And there are other times that they have looked really good. Is that a coaching situation? Is that simply a matter of time before the team starts to get it together, figure out the right way to play, find the right defense pairings, find the right forward combinations, maybe the injection of young players into a larger role who seem to relish it in the last game or two, start to take on a bigger role and play the role that they're expected to eventually and grow into it. Pavel Buchnevich, players like that start to take on a bigger role with the Rangers, thus helping them succeed. Vultures are also circling for other teams like Arizona, like Buffalo. Oh, there was a bit of a social media flurry on Saturday when Jack Eichel, after a loss to the Sharks, he snapped his stick over his knee as he was heading back and cursed and headed into the dressing room. I don't care about that. I really don't care at all. I want a guy who doesn't like losing. Oh, yeah, Buffalo's losing. They got to make changes. Jason Botterill hasn't done a good job, hasn't done enough. It's not a fantasy team. You can't just dump your whole roster and then pick up 12 new players. It doesn't work that way. Change is hard. Transition is hard. It takes time. Yeah, I thought Buffalo would be better in the early going. Not to say they won't be better at the end of the season. I think they will be. I didn't think they would be a playoff team this year. But are they changing and moving in the right direction? I've seen enough to think so. Don't get caught up in the hysteria early on. Well, it's not early. Don't get caught up in the hysteria. Oh, yes. Suggestions of coaches on the hot seat. Dramatic change needs to happen. Take a breath at some of this stuff. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, the Twitter and Instagram handles to reach us. We'll talk Philadelphia Flyers in the next segment. Dave Isaac from the Courier-Post will join us. Also coming up this hour, Corey Hirsch will join us, analyst for the Vancouver Canucks radio broadcast. We'll talk goaltending, we'll talk Canucks, and whatever else we can get into with Corey. It's usually a few pretty good things. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis, back with more after the break.
There's special savings for Hockey Unfiltered listeners with our new ticket partner, Seat Giant. And Canadian fans can also purchase in Canadian dollars. Go to SeatGiant.ca, find the tickets you're looking for. Doesn't matter if it's NHL games, concerts, or any other event. You get a special discount with the promo code TODD. That's Todd with 2 Ds. Just enter the code, get the discount, you save. That's simple. Save on your next ticket purchase with Hockey Unfiltered and Seat Giant. The best way to get set for the busy Saturday night of hockey is with Hockey Primetime. Beginning at 5 p.m. Eastern, host Connor McKenna whips you around the league for the latest stories and info leading up to the early game starts. Plus, he'll give his own spin on the biggest stories in the National Hockey League. Hockey Primetime with Connor McKenna. Sometimes serious, sometimes a little goofy, but always interesting. Listen live at hockeyprimetime.com, 5 p.m. Eastern every Saturday. Search engine optimization is the key to success for your online business. It can be the key to success for any business. 1-844-SEO-LEAD is the number to call to get your business at the top of all searches. An official partner of Google, they have the tools necessary to make your business the one people notice first. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Now you can nominate your dog or any dog you love as the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day through Instagram. Every Saturday, Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis will take your nominations for the Dog of the Day. Use the hashtag HU Dog of the Day. Send us a photo with the dog on Twitter or Instagram to nominate your dog. We choose a winner at the end of the show, and your dog will be recognized in the HU Dog of the Day gallery on our website and Facebook page. Hashtag HU Dog of the Day. Creativity and innovation are the hallmarks of Nova Product Design. Whether it's mechanical or industrial, cutting-edge technology and a commitment to excellence make Nova Product Design the company to choose. Prototypes and beta units are a Nova Product Design specialty. Striving for revolutionary new ideas and methods keep Nova Product Design at the forefront of innovation. Visit novaproductdesign.com and learn more.
Welcome back. This is Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis, the Sunday edition. We're here Saturdays and Sundays, 11 Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific, at Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, the Twitter and Instagram handles. Todd at hockeyunfiltered.com is the email. Busy show, good lineup today. Stephen Laidlaw, the managing editor of DauberHockey.com, with this week's Fantasy 5. Hashtag Fantasy 5, Josh Cooper from NHL.com. Corey Hirsch will join us. We'll talk Canucks. We'll talk goaltending and much more. Happy to welcome back to the program the man that covers the Philadelphia Flyers for the Courier-Post. You can follow him on Twitter at Dave G. Isaac. He has been a regular visitor with us, and especially like it when we get to see him in person, when we go to Philadelphia for some of our live events, and hopefully we'll be able to do that again soon. Dave Isaac joins us. Dave, welcome back to the program. It's nice to have you, especially, I guess, the conversation may be a little easier after a Flyers victory over the Toronto Maple Leafs on Saturday.
Hey, Todd. Yeah, especially after the way that some of their recent games have gone in controversial endings. That was one that the Flyers certainly felt they needed less.
Sorry, Dave, did I lose you there, or is it me?
Yep. Hi, can you hear me?
Hi, I got you, Dave. Sorry about that. I think we lost you for just a second.
Oh, okay. Yeah, after the way that the Flyers have had some controversial endings with calls not going their way, to have a win in Toronto and walk away with 2 points out of a possible 4, I think they played well enough to get the other 2 in Ottawa 2 nights prior. But that was a win last night that was certainly much needed for that club.
Yeah, the Philadelphia Flyers, I think, because of all the change that's taken place with their roster, they made some pretty significant moves. The younger players that seem to be growing into their roles, the goaltending that has changes that have taken place. I think Philly is one of those teams that now we're past the double-digit mark. They're just seeming to find their stride a little bit and moving in the right direction.
Yeah, I think there's a few things that go into that. The biggest difference in my eyes, not even just for the people that weren't there last year, but the guys that were as well, everybody can skate on this team now. And that was a huge difference, especially against a team like Toronto, who the Flyers beat last night. The second period, and if the Flyers found themselves in a track meet with a team like Toronto last year, they would have lost. They were not equipped for that. A lot of these guys are chalking it up to the training camp. But clearly there's more to it than that for the skating ability to have improved that vastly from a year ago. So I think that, first of all, that's the biggest change that I see. They add a couple guys with Nolan Patrick, who's missed the last 2 games with a head injury. But you also have a couple young guys on the back end. There are more players now that are talented with the puck. than they had in the past. And even a guy like Yuri Laterra, who hadn't been playing a lot early on and isn't one of those fast guys. His feet may not be fast, but his hands are, and his brain is. This is all of a sudden a Flyers team that can play a mile a minute.
Dave Isaac is with us, covers the Philadelphia Flyers for the Courier-Post. At Dave G. Isaac is how you follow him on Twitter. And Dave, I noticed you were tweeting last night about the speed of the Flyers and that they can keep up with the team, as you just mentioned, like the Toronto Maple Leafs. One of those that I've noticed certainly has another step, another gear, however you want to phrase it. Maybe he's just back to himself. Is Claude Giroux. I kept mentioning a few times last year, he'll deny it. He doesn't want to talk about it, that he was injured. But he did say something yesterday in an interview I saw that, yeah, it was nice to have a full summer to be healthy and get back to training the way you expect. So it is nice for Claude Giroux to be healthy enough to do that. And you can really see the results, not to mention the shift over to the wing from center.
Shane Gostisbehere is in the same boat. Two guys that had the same surgery on the same day, and neither of which could skate last year. Giroux kind of owned up to that with maybe 10, 15 games left in last season. Gostisbehere never really did, but it's pretty clear that the skating ability wasn't there until maybe February, March. They both kind of started to look like themselves around the same time as well. So that's absolutely a big part of Claude Giroux's game, is his ability to skate. And I think a lot of people thought that him moving to the left wing was going to be an experiment, and Sean Couturier being the center on a top line was certainly going to be an experiment. And that's been really a big surprise, because that has stuck. That is a line that has been the Flyers' most effective so far, and there's really no signs of them breaking that up. And why would you when everybody is going at 100%? It is kind of a rebirth of Claude Giroux that we're seeing here, and it's interesting. I don't really know how much of it is health related and how much of it is maybe him being freed up a little bit on that left side in the offensive zone.
The Flyers are reaping the benefits. I was just going to ask you about Sean Couturier too. When he came into the league, there was a greater expectation of offensive output. It didn't happen right away, and he sort of got shifted into he'll make a really good third line center. He can check. He's responsible defensively, but I think he's got to be feeling super liberated at getting this chance to be a number one center and to play a much more offensive role and show and display his talents.
Yeah, he had been a hot button issue in Philadelphia, because all the critics are saying, well, he's not a second line center. Little did we know that's because he was a first line center. Yeah. But it's something that nobody really expected. And when you look at his usage in the first, it's crazy. I think this is his 7th NHL season already. But when you look at his first several NHL seasons and how he was used, he was predominantly that defensive shutdown guy. When he was a rookie in 2012, the Flyers went to the playoffs and played Pittsburgh, and he kind of shut down Evgeny Malkin, and that's where it all began. And he's kind of developed that reputation ever since, and really not thrilled with it, because he thinks that he's had this two-way game the whole time and maybe just didn't get the chance to show it. So when you put really anybody on a line with Claude Giroux and Jake Voracek, all you have to do is keep your stick on the ice, and you're kind of going to fall backwards into 20 goals. But he's shown some skill with his hands as well, that I don't think a lot of people knew that he had.
Jake Voracek is also having another good season. Doesn't have a ton of goals yet. Got one last night, but he does have 14 assists. He's leading the Philadelphia Flyers in points, and his attitude, I think, is right. The goals will come. Everything's fine. I don't give a whatever about the personal stats. It's important that the team is winning, though, because that was his post-game comment last night.
Yeah, he didn't like me asking that question, but it was certainly a pretty goal. A lot prettier than the first one that he had, which was scored behind the goal line, and he banked it off of Dion Phaneuf's shins. So that was kind of my thought process going into it, but obviously he had other thoughts there. Certainly a guy like Giroux, where if you're getting that kind of paycheck every week, you better be putting up the numbers, and so far that's been the case for Voracek.
Yeah, it's been good for Philadelphia. Dave Isaac is with us from the Courier Post, covers the Philadelphia Flyers. At Dave G. Isaac is how you follow him on Twitter. Unlike last season, it seems like Brian Elliott has settled in quickly with the Philadelphia Flyers lineup and his new team. And I think that'll be a nice tandem with he and Michael Neuwirth going back and forth with one another.
Yeah, I've kind of usage by Dave Haxtell so far this year. Elliott has gotten the lion's share of the starts, but I don't really think his stats support that workload. Neuwirth had, I think, 3 games and was leading the league in goals against and save percentage, and he kind of had a clunker in, I think it was the Ottawa game. So you kind of knew that with the way that starts were being doled out, that if he had a game where he gave up, I think it was 6 goals, he's probably not starting the next game. And Elliott has been, Dave Haxtell used the word battler. So he's battled his way to some of his numbers aren't really there. I think last night against Toronto was probably the best effort that he's had so far this season. And for a guy who's a Newmarket native, that's not always the case for a guy that goes home and that they can put forth that kind of effort and that kind of result in front of a hometown crowd. But I think that was his best game so far. So maybe every game he plays.
Dave, I know the Flyers are off today, and I don't know that you have an official update. Well, we thought that Nolan Patrick might be back in the lineup last night, but he didn't go. Is there any word on his status?
No word on his yet. So the Flyers on Friday had a practice, and he kind of said he had a few things to go through with protocol before he could get back. So I don't think he was super optimistic that he would be able to play last night. And the Flyers off today, play tomorrow. I don't know if they would put him right into the lineup without a practice under his belt. I do think he's close. I don't think this is one of those long-term things. Nolan Patrick should be back in there in rather short order. I think the bigger concern right now for the Flyers is Shane Gostisbehere, who got driven headfirst into the boards by Leo Komarov last night. How a hit that neither official saw, and he missed the third period, and the Flyers could be in a real world of hurt if Shane Gostisbehere can't go for any length of time. Already missing the much maligned Andrew McDonald, who's actually had a really good year so far and kind of been a steadying force. And when he came out, everything seemed jumbled. So if the Flyers end up missing 2 out of their 6 regular defensemen, they could be in some trouble.
Yeah, I was just going to ask about Gostisbehere. I thought that was a real dirty hit, and that it absolutely should have been penalized. I haven't seen it yet, but I expect that there will be a further summoning for perhaps some other discipline. I thought that was a real cheap and dirty hit, and I can't understand how or why that wasn't penalized, and it wasn't the only one yesterday. You mentioned Andrew McDonald and his injury coming out as well. Is perhaps his resurgence this year partly because he's not being asked to do too much? There's a little more help from some of the other Flyers defensemen?
Well, he's still getting the minutes, and the role. He's a penalty kill guy. I don't think he's actually that effective of a penalty kill guy. I think that if they tapered off some of those responsibilities, he would look even better. But I think that maybe just the chemistry of having a whole year under the belt between him and Ivan Provorov as the Flyers' top pair there. His positioning has just been better in his defensive zone. He's looked and not like hot potato hockey where the puck's a grenade when it's on his stick and he's got to get rid of it. I think that for some reason there seems to be a calming effect to his game, and I think that's been the biggest difference.
Yeah, it's been good for the Philadelphia Flyers. Hopefully the injured players get back in the lineup soon. Dave Isaac from the Courier Post covering the Philadelphia Flyers. As mentioned, follow him on Twitter at Dave G. Isaac. Good stuff today, as always, Dave. I really appreciate it. Hopefully we'll have you back soon, and we'll see you soon as well.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me, Todd.
Thanks, Dave Isaac of the Courier Post. Andrew McDonald or Ivan Provorov has been terrific since he came up with the Philadelphia Flyers. That was a nasty hit with Shane Gostisbehere last night. We'll talk a little bit more about that. Some of the other ones that have also taken place. a couple of them yesterday, a couple of hits that should have been penalized. The one by Leo Komarov, the Shane Gostisbehere, absolutely was one. There were a few others as well. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, the Twitter and Instagram handles. Todd at hockeyunfiltered.com is the email. Lots to get to in our remaining minutes. Steve Laidlaw, the fantasy expert, Fantasy 5 expert, hashtag Fantasy 5 from DobberHockey.com. Josh Cooper will join us. And in the next segment, Corey Hirsch, analyst for the Vancouver Canucks radio broadcast, will be with us. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis, back after the break.
The best way to get set for the busy Saturday night of hockey is with Hockey Primetime. Beginning at 5 p.m. Eastern, host Connor McKenna whips you around the league for the latest stories and info leading up to the early game starts. Plus, he'll give his own spin on the biggest stories in the National Hockey League. Hockey Primetime with Connor McKenna. Sometimes serious, sometimes a little goofy, but always interesting. Listen live at hockeyprimetime.com, 5 p.m. Eastern every Saturday. Creativity and innovation are the hallmarks of Nova Product Design. Whether it's mechanical or industrial, cutting-edge technology and a commitment to excellence make Nova Product Design the company to choose. Prototypes and beta units are a Nova Product Design specialty. Striving for revolutionary new ideas and methods keep Nova Product Design at the forefront of innovation. Visit novaproductdesign.com and learn more. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis sends you to the biggest events at the best prices. This year, we've partnered with Seat Giant to give you special deals on tickets to NHL games, concerts, or other events. Simply go to SeatGiant.com, find the tickets you want. When you check out, use the promo code TODD for a special discount. That's promo code TODD for a special discount. Start saving with SeatGiant.com on your next purchase. Being on the World Wide Web is great. Being found is the tricky part. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Search engine optimization is the only way your business can get a leg up on the competition. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. For the necessary tools to make your business stand out in a crowded marketplace, 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Now it's even easier to nominate your dog as the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day. We do it every Saturday. Send us a photo on Twitter or now on Instagram with the hashtag HU Dog of the Day. We choose a winner every Saturday. That's simple. Now on Instagram or Twitter, send us the photo using the hashtag HU Dog of the Day, and your dog could be the one added to our gallery on the website and Facebook page. It's the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day every Saturday.
Welcome back. This is Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. It's the Sunday edition. Join us every Saturday, every Sunday, 11 Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific, at Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, the Twitter and Instagram handles to follow us. We're streaming live at hockeyunfiltered.com, powered by Primetime Radio, every Saturday and Sunday. Busy show, lots to get into from a hectic Saturday with 12 games, a lighter Sunday schedule, only 3. We'll look ahead to the week coming up and a little fantasy help as well. Hashtag Fantasy 5. Very happy to welcome back our friend. He is the new radio analyst for the Vancouver Canucks broadcasts on Sportsnet 650. Great guy. We love talking goaltending with him. It's his first visit of the year. Follow him on Twitter at Corey Hirsch. How are you settling into the new gig, Corey? It seems like everything's going okay, and especially when the team's played well off the start.
Oh, it makes a huge difference how the team's played. It's a new station out in Vancouver, so if the Canucks had a tough start, I'm not sure anybody would be listening. But now there's some excitement in the city. It's been really good, and I don't know if they can sustain it. I like the team. They play hard. They play 4 lines. They all play the same way. But there's some good hockey teams out there. We're seeing some really good parity across the league right now.
Yeah, we have seen some good hockey in the early going, and the Vancouver Canucks have been part of that. There were many that didn't have much expectation for the Canucks this year. New coach and the player transition that's taking place. Is there something that you've noticed in being around the team through training camp and through the first weeks of the season that they've just kind of hit on, and this is part of the reason for their success?
Well, I think they've made a little relying on the Sedin so much that they're getting on, and they can't play those minutes that they used to play. They're great hockey players, they're legends, and what Coach Green is, he backed off their minutes, and those minutes are up for grabs for some younger players now. So those guys know that, and they're trying to get those minutes. Besser, and a little bit of a transition. It's made it better for the Sedins. So when the Sedins get out there, they're getting out against third line players, and they look like they're having success. Whereas playing against other teams' first line players, it's tough. It's a quick league, and I think that's been a big part of it. Coach Green has just kind of said, you know what, this is my team. I'm going to do it my way. There's no stars in this team anymore, and we need to do it collectively.
And it seems to be working for the Vancouver Canucks so far, who will try and extend their winning streak coming up on Monday when they play their next game. So Bo Horvat has been terrific. I, along with others, was a little surprised not to see Brock Besser in the first couple of games, but since he has returned to the lineup, he's been sensational. And maybe that was the best choice and the best decision by Travis Green not to have him play those first couple of games.
Yeah, and I tell everybody that probably that really wasn't so much about Brock Besser as more of a message to everybody that you have to earn every inch. And Brock Besser was good. It wasn't that Brock Besser was playing poorly or anything. It was just, hey, it was a message to the city. It was a message to the fans. It was a message to the team. It was a message to Brock that that he was in charge and he was going to do it his way, and nobody was going to dictate that they were going to play in the lineup based on that happened last year or somebody that came out of college. So for Brock Besser, for him, the message is, you know what, don't ever be a healthy scratch again. And he, hopefully he never will be, because he's been dynamite. And for the rest of the team, it's, hey, nobody has a guaranteed spot on this team. You need to go out and earn it every night. And it was a good message in a sense. I didn't really agree with it at the start either, but it just seems everybody since then has kind of bought into this is Coach Green's team, and he's going to do it his way no matter what anybody thinks.
And is that the hardest thing, or one of the hardest things for a coach to establish when he does take over in a new situation, is that he has to show and not just show, but prove that he's the one in charge. He is making decisions, because we all know that players get long-term contracts and giant money, and coaches are much more disposable than players are. But the coach still has to be the one in charge and making the decisions, because he can look at the broader picture for the whole team.
No question. You can't go in there and the players run the, run the team. That's a recipe for disaster. You have to go in there, and especially as a new coach and a rookie coach, you have to go in there and you really have to show who's the boss. And he hasn't done it in a way where it's been tyrant-like or anything like that. It's been a subtle message. Boss, we're going to do it my way, and the players have bought into it, and I think that they're seeing that they can be successful by listening to his message. So it's good for him that everybody's kind of bought in and the team's winning.
Corey Hirsch is with us. He is the Canucks radio analyst for Sportsnet 650. At Corey Hirsch is how you follow him on Twitter. Canucks will look to extend the winning streak to 5 on Monday when they play host to the Dallas Stars. We have to talk about goaltending because, of course, you got tons of experience as a goaltender. And watching Jake Markstrom, yes, he seems to be making progress. The surprise, though, I think, in the Vancouver goaltending situation has been the play of Anders Nilsson. He's not just been, we'll throw somebody in when Markstrom needs a little bit of rest. He's contributed significantly to this team in the early going. And I think that's going to wind up helping both of them in the long run.
Oh my God, has he ever? And we've got a competition, right? That's both guys are, when they get in there, they have to play well, or they're not going to. Markstrom played extremely well in Detroit, except for then out in Minnesota. So it's a good situation as kind of a 1A, 1B type. So the number one is, and that'll sort itself out. But that has kind of turned the corner on. He had some struggles with some different teams. He looks like a guy that's kind of figured it out now. And you're always waiting for that as a player, for a player to kind of turn that corner where they go from, a player that's trying to find their game to a guy that's found his game and can contribute every night. So this is going to be interesting how this plays out.
Is that kind of the case with Sven Berchi as well, seeming that he struggled for a while and now finds himself in the right situation and it seems to have clicked into place for him?
That's exactly it. And as a player, it's kind of a moment, right, where it's like, oh, this works. If I play like this every night, I'm going to play well. It's like, oh, and it happens. You don't know when it's going to happen. And sometimes it takes longer in a guy's career. Sometimes it's earlier in a guy, and sometimes guys never figure it out, right? But for these guys like Sven Berchi, and they're getting second opportunities. That's why you see teams try and give guys second opportunities, because you're hoping that they'll help them get to that moment in their career, and they will figure it out.
Corey Hirsch is with us, analyst for the Vancouver Canucks radio broadcast. At Corey Hirsch is how you follow him on Twitter. Okay, so a couple other goaltending type questions that I got to ask you. There's the argument about blocking shots and how much do you block shots? Do you always block shots? Do you sacrifice your body? There are those that spout off, get your sticks out of the way, don't do that, let the goalie see the puck. Once and for all, can you give us an answer as to whether a goaltender wants his players, his defensemen, or even forwards to block the shots or just get the hell out of the way?
Well, I think the main thing for me with blocking shots was if you're going to put your body in front of it or a stick in front of it, you need to make sure that you're going to get every piece of that puck, that you're not just going to deflect it by me. Because once you tip it, I have no idea where it's going as a
all
goalie.
bets are off.
So
yeah.
my thing always was block it when you're 100% sure you can get it. And other than that, you have to trust a goalie to make the save. These guys are good goalies. Sometimes putting your stick in the way is not the right thing to do. If the guy's way outside the scoring area, you don't need to put your stick in there. He's not going to score on your goalie, right? So you want to protect the slot, obviously, and help out your goalie. But there's areas where the shot comes from where don't get your stick in the way.
Yeah, and don't do it as an act of desperation.
Yeah, right, because you only end up getting a piece of it. But I was always thankful for the guys that did block shots, because a lot of times they save goals. Tanev saved 2 or 3 goals this year already from empty net. So there's an element of appreciation too, because the goalies are, so it hurts a little bit more when they block one.
Now, the other last one I wanted to ask you about the blocking shots and goaltending is I was reading or hearing and seeing about how Vancouver has maybe adjusted that thought of try and get in front of everything that is coming your way. And it seems like the approach might be a little bit clear the area a little bit and give the goalie a better opportunity to see the puck as opposed to flinging yourself wildly in front of it.
Yeah, it was, and it's more protect that scoring area, right? The middle area where teams are going to get their best opportunities from. So it's more about protecting that. And if a guy's going to get a shot from the outside, let him take it. That's fine. If he scores from out there, that's the goalie's guy. That's his job. That's why he wears the equipment. So Vancouver has done a very good job of not letting teams, and good teams, they frustrated Washington, a high-scoring team, by not giving them those opportunities to score. And Ovechkin was giving Nielsen some of his best stuff, and Nielsen was standing tall right on top of it. So it's an exciting year. This team is a lot better than everybody thinks they're going to be.
Yeah, and it's give everyone the best chance to succeed, sounds like the approach that they're taking.
Yeah, no question. And give guys ice time based on merit and reward. And the team doesn't have the expectations that they've had in the past. They're really holding the fort down until there's a couple of kids over in Sweden. There's the Pettersson kid and that they hope are going to be stars, and they're not ready yet. And it's kind of hold the fort down a little bit the prospects are ready to jump in and be those players and take those minutes. So the timing of this organization is good. They're trying to stay competitive. They're trying to hold the fort down until they can get some young prospects in. There's some good ones that can play with Besser and Berchi and Horvat, so that it's not an 8 or 9 year rebuild, that it's only a 2, 3, 4 year rebuild.
Corey Hirsch, analyst for the Vancouver Canucks radio broadcast, at Corey Hirsch, to follow him on Twitter, doing a great job also as a mental health advocate. Corey, it is always great to have you, and I look forward to having you back again soon, and we can talk more.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
All right, bud. Thanks. Corey Hirsch, the radio analyst for the Vancouver Canucks. It's fun time. It's good in Vancouver. Yes, there were concerns early on when there were losses and there were large patches of empty seats. But, this is a process. This whole, you got to blow it up and get rid of everybody. It doesn't work that way. Can we just stop this whole, strip it down to the studs? You can do that, but it doesn't just happen over one summer, or it doesn't just happen in a very short period of time. That is a multi-year process to do that. Have the Vancouver Canucks always made the right choices and made right decisions? No. Who has? Are they making more of them now? Maybe. But I like some of the things that they've done. And yes, there will be talk about it, but it won't happen. The Sedins won't go anywhere this year. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, the Twitter and Instagram handles. Todd at hockeyunfiltered.com is the email. A whole bunch of other things to get into. Josh Cooper from NHL.com is going to join us later on. And of course, Stephen Laidlaw, managing editor of DobberHockey.com, with this week's Fantasy 5. We'll talk a little officiating, little penalties and stuff in our next segment. Some TV talk coming up as well, because there's a couple of thoughts I have on that and a whole bunch of other things as well. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis, back after the break.
So you had to get groceries, take your daughter to dance class, and a pipe burst in the kitchen. You missed Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. No problem. All of our shows are available as a podcast right after the show airs, so you can listen when life gets in the way of hearing us live. Subscribe through iTunes and get alerts as soon as the podcast is available, or go to our website, hockeyunfiltered.com, and listen. Plus, check out the other cool stuff. The Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis podcast. Subscribe now through iTunes. Get your business started getting more leads. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. The number to call if you want more online leads for your business is 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Search engine optimization can be the difference between success and failure. It's no coincidence which businesses are listed first in Google searches. Call 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis sends you to the biggest events at the best prices. This year, we've partnered with Seat Giant to give you special deals on tickets to NHL games, concerts, or other events. Simply go to SeatGiant.com, find the tickets you want. When you check out, use the promo code TODD for a special discount. That's promo code TODD for a special discount. Start saving with SeatGiant.com on your next purchase. Nova Product Design is designed for manufacturing. Nova Product Design can get the job done with mechanical and industrial design. Nova Product Design is also fully functional for laser cutting, water jet cutting, plating, coatings, and more. Nova Product Design, innovative design and the latest technologies. Nova Product Design can design, build, and test any required types of prototypes and beta units. Visit novaproductdesign.com. We're looking for your Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day nominations every Saturday. Now you can send them through Instagram. Use the hashtag HU Dog of the Day. Send us a photo of your dog on Twitter or Instagram to nominate them as the HU Dog of the Day. Include your name, the dog's name, and any other cool details you want. We choose a winner and add them to the Dog of the Day gallery on our website and Facebook page. It's the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day every Saturday. Hashtag HU Dog of the Day.
And Duke was yesterday's winner, submitted by Cynthia Susie at handle at Mama Susie on Twitter. We'll do it again every Saturday. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis, Saturdays and Sundays, 11 Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific, streaming live at hockeyunfiltered.com, powered by Primetime Radio. We're live on Facebook. We're live on Periscope and YouTube. And yes, we love your social interaction, questions, comments through whichever medium. We enjoy them all. Lots to get to on today's program after a busy Saturday. 12 games in the NHL, an unbelievable ending in OT by the Los Angeles Kings. We'll talk more Kings with Josh Cooper coming up in our next hour. Yep, win it, buzzer beater. Puck goes in off the face-off. It was fantastic. It was remarkable to watch. So we'll talk about that and a few other things. And, of course, hashtag Fantasy5. This week's Fantasy 5 from the managing editor of DobberHockey.com. Stephen Laidlaw will join us in hour number 2. Whole bunch of good things, whole bunch of interesting things that we've seen over the last few days, and we're getting to a good part in the season where we're in the rhythm, we're in the routine. It's a daily drill. Yep, there's hockey and everything's running smoothly, but there's a couple of areas that I want to focus on. I think they need a little bit more attention. There was a lot of squawking, quite frankly, about the better enforcement of the slashing rule and as well lining up for faceoffs correctly. Rightfully so. This was the point of emphasis that was told to everyone at the start of the year. This is an adjustment in how the game is going to be called. There was plenty of griping, plenty of squawking. How many times did you hear all of these? Oh, it's just a little tap. Oh, he hardly touched him. You can't do anything anymore. Sound pretty typical? They're not letting him play. How can you play like this? Oh, you're ruining the game. The same garbage that they always hear whenever any sort of change is made or there's any sort of adjustment. It's frustrating. I like what it's done for the game, though. I think it's good. I think it's allowed players more opportunity to elevate the level of play, show their skill, and let them do what they can do. I'm in favor of that. Same with the faceoffs, too. Players used every part of their body to bugger things up. They get any sort of appendage in there that you could not to lose the draw because they weren't forced to line up properly. Now they're doing it. Some are still paying the price, still the odd penalty getting called, and I'm in favor of that. I think it's good. Let the skilled players use their skill. Doesn't mean we're taking all the physical presence out of the game in any way, shape, or form. But allow the skill players that have the skill and use it the opportunity to do so. Now, a couple of things I did see on Saturday that are kind of a concern, and it's not calling dirty and illegal hits. I hope it was just a bad night for a couple of refs. It seems that unless a player receiving a hit is injured, though, there isn't as strict an enforcement on some of the hitting rules, especially with bad hits. And there were a couple yesterday. I think refs don't want the abuse that they get sometimes because they get chirped at so much. I mean, to the point of ridiculous. I think that there's a bit of a reluctance to call it. I don't think they want the abuse, and some stuff gets let go. It's a mistake because then you got to try to get the toothpaste back in the tube in a sense. There's such a backlash against proper enforcement about stuff. A couple of hits in particular, and we talked about this one with Dave Isaac in the Philly game versus Toronto. Leo Komarov runs Shane Gostisbehere from behind, pushes him face first into the boards. Gostisbehere left the game. There hasn't been an update yet. I haven't seen an update yet on the status of Komarov. He wasn't penalized. He pushed him in the numbers from behind. He should have been thrown out of the game, wasn't penalized. That's a bad missed call. This should be reviewed, and there should be punishment coming from the league. Haven't seen it yet. Hope that I do soon. In the Detroit-Florida game as well, the overtime period, Evgeny Dadonov is skating. He's chasing the puck into the Detroit zone. He's trying to nullify an icing. And he does. He's successful. He beats the Detroit player to the hash marks. So the linesman waves it off. And that's fine. This is the rule. That's fine. But the other part of that is you're supposed to play the puck. What Dadonov does on his way to the puck is give Nick Kronwall a shove and sends him crashing in a heap into the end boards. That's a dirty play. It's a dangerous play. You can really injure a player doing that. We've seen it happen at all levels of hockey, and including the NHL. Players have been seriously injured on this kind of play. That's why they went to the hybrid icing in the first place, to try to eliminate that. And when you're chasing a puck down in this manner, when you're trying to nullify an icing or play the puck, the icing will have already been nullified. You are supposed to play the puck. You are not supposed to drive the defender into a heap and have him land awkwardly in the boards, as Kronwall did last night. That's a dirty play. How bad was it? Even the Florida announcers, who have never had a penalty in their mind called correctly against them, thought that it was a dirty play. It was a cheap shot, it's a dirty play, and it should have been penalized. Now, I'm not expecting that there's going to be suspensions forthcoming for this one. Komarov, maybe. He should be. But they both should be. If I'm making the rules, I'm suspending both of them for a few games. Because both are really dirty plays. We have seen a couple of times this year, and I'm in favor of more of this as well. We have seen a couple times this year that players have been fined afterwards. There was a high sticking fine and there was a slashing fine. It was Vladimir Sobotka of the St. Louis Blues, who was fined for high sticking Patrick Sharp of the Chicago Blackhawks. Maybe it had been a couple of weeks ago now. And then there was one a little more recently, Ryan Hartman of the Hawks. He was fined for a slash on Braden McNabb. I'm good with this, especially if it's a significant fine. Now, it's all mandated in the CBA. Sorry for mentioning CBA, but it's all mandated as to what the amount of the fines can be. There's a maximum. But hammering players with money like this, if it's a call that's missed or a penalty that's deemed that maybe should have been a little more severe during the game as called by the official, I'd be okay with that. In this kind of case, Leo Komarov, that's a cheap, dirty hit. Now, that's one thing that's your game and you run around and you want to be a physical guy and generate energy. If that's your game, that's fine, but you got to do it within the rules. And that one was missed last night. So I'm okay with Leo Komarov getting hammered with a fine and or suspension. I think it's worthy of suspension. It's a dirty hit. And the same thing with Dadonov of Florida. When a player is approaching the puck, this is why the rules were put in the first place, to help make it safer for players so you don't have injuries, either minor or major, as we've seen, when you're pursuing a puck towards the end boards. This generates the argument of, well, you got to have no touch icing. If you want to go that far, I'm okay with that too, and eliminate this possibility entirely. But in this case, the rule is you play the puck. You don't drive the player into the boards, where the result can be a devastating injury. And that's what Dadonov did. Oh, just give him a little shove. Yes, except he's going at a high rate of speed, and it's easy to tip him over. And that's what happened with Nick Kronwall, who certainly had more than his fair share of battles with injuries to begin with. They're both dirty plays. They're both suspension worthy as I see it. I don't know that it'll happen. If I see anything, we'll keep you updated and let you know. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports are the Twitter and Instagram handles. Todd at hockeyunfiltered.com is the email if you want to weigh in. Coming up in our next hour, Josh Cooper from NHL.com will join us. Steve Laidlaw, the managing editor of DobberHockey.com, will join us with the Fantasy 5 hashtag Fantasy 5, help for you in your fantasy hockey pool. I'm having a decent week. It could go south pretty quickly, but I'm having a decent week so far. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis, back after the break.
Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis sends you to the biggest events at the best prices. This year, we've partnered with Seat Giant to give you special deals on tickets to NHL games, concerts, or other events. Simply go to SeatGiant.com, find the tickets you want. When you check out, use the promo code TODD for a special discount. That's promo code TODD for a special discount. Start saving with SeatGiant.com on your next purchase. Look, we know it happens. Life gets in the way and sometimes you can't catch the live edition of Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. But we've made it easy for you to catch up on the show you might have missed. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis is available as a podcast on iTunes, iHeartRadio, and Blog Talk Radio. You don't want to miss an episode. If you missed the live show, check out the podcast. Don't miss any shows. There's a test coming up later. Subscribe now. Get your business started getting more leads. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. The number to call if you want more online leads for your business is 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Search engine optimization can be the difference between success and failure. It's no coincidence which businesses are listed first in Google searches. Call 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Use the code Get the Savings. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis listeners save with SeatGiant and the promo code TODD. That's TODD at SeatGiant.com. Just log on to SeatGiant.com to find the best tickets to NHL games, concerts, or whatever you want and save. Use the promo code TODD. That's TODD when you check out and you save. Canadian listeners can save at SeatGiant.ca. That's SeatGiant.com and .ca. Cutting-edge design for manufacturing, Nova Product Design. Industrial design, mechanical engineering and design. Nova Product Design provides experienced design for parts and assemblies, manufacturing, assembly, and serviceability. From plastic parts to sheet metal forming, mold and tool design, injection molding, and more. Nova Product Design. Visit novaproductdesign.com to learn more.
This is Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis.
Oh, this is going to be a busy hour ahead. First one was good. First one was busy. This one's going to be a little overflowing a little bit. Hope we can get all the stuff in. We got a lot of things that we're going to try and get to over the next hour. Josh Cooper, LA Kings contributor to NHL.com, will join us. We'll talk about the Kings. What a win on Saturday. What a victory. Absolutely amazing. And, of course, it's Sunday, so our regular visit from the managing editor of DobberHockey.com, Stephen Laidlaw, with this week's Fantasy 5, hashtag Fantasy 5, help for you in your fantasy hockey pool. I mentioned just before the top of the hour that I'm having a pretty good week, so it's going okay. I'm leading. It could all go away pretty quickly, though, because of the whole goalie thing that I got to get through today. But it's okay. It's a good first. So I guess it's the second week. The first week, though, is kind of screwy because it's a long week, but it's okay. This one's going okay. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports are the Twitter and Instagram handles. Todd at hockeyunfiltered.com is the email. We're streaming live on hockeyunfiltered.com, powered by Primetime Radio, every Saturday and Sunday, 11 Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific. Live on Facebook, live on Periscope, live on YouTube, and coming soon, the Hockey Unfiltered app. Yes. Hockey Unfiltered has its own app. We're looking forward to that coming soon. More details about that on our little Saturday podcast, I'm sure, coming up on Wednesday. A good Saturday in the NHL. We're into the drill. We're into the routine now. Everything's running smoothly. Everybody's got it going. It's not the misstep here and there with the new startup after you've been off for a few months. Everything's running smoothly. Everybody's pointing at teams. Who's had a good start? Who's had a below expectation start? And of course, which coaches are on the hot seat? Because that's going to be the next clickbait thing that really gets cooking this week. Last week, I told you it was going to be goaltenders. There was an awful lot of goalie talk this past week. Coming up this week, it'll be coaches. Which coaches are on the hot seat? And yeah, Jeff Blashill, Detroit. They'd lost 6 in a row before winning in the shootout against Florida. He's on the hot seat. Yeah, okay. If you're completely oblivious to how the Detroit Red Wings run their operation, which isn't about firing coaches mid-season. Alain Vigneault, that will heat up as well. Talk about John Tortorella yesterday. Blue Jackets lost to the St. Louis Blues. No shame in that. Lots of teams have been losing to the St. Louis Blues, but just kind of the way he's maneuvering, taking the A off Brandon Dubinsky, that's a bit of a bigger thing. How are teams behaving? How are they acting? Are they succeeding? Are they not? Buffalo Sabres. Oh yeah. Buffalo Sabres, they lost in a close one to the San Jose Sharks on Saturday. Sharks head back with a 3-2 record on their road trip. Now some are suggesting, things aren't good in Buffalo. What's this about Jack Eichel? Oh, that's not good. Snapped his stick over his leg as they were exiting the ice yesterday. said a bad word out really loud. Oh, yeah, they got to make big changes in Buffalo. Things have got to happen. It's not a fantasy team. You can't just dump your whole roster and bring in a whole bunch of new guys. It's a process. Oh, Buffalo, Jason Botterill's not doing enough. He's got to fix that. Well, yeah, he's been on the job 6 months. He's made some pretty good changes, and he's also had some rather significant injuries to his defense core. And the other part that has to be changed, that is a process you can't even do, even if you take off your whole roster and bring in a new one. It's changing the mindset. This is the hardest thing that has to happen when you take over a team that isn't succeeding and doing well. Ask Edmonton about this. A team subconsciously gets used to losing. And even when you change the personnel, even if you bring in a half a dozen different players, they can kind of get caught up on what's gone on previously. Jack Eichel squawked a couple weeks back saying, I'm sick of losing. Yesterday snaps a stick. Saturday snaps a stick over his leg. They lose the game on a late goal. Screams out loud he's frustrated. I'm okay with that. I want guys like that on my team. I don't want anybody that takes losing easily or comfortably. I want someone who's anxious. The other team getting picked on right now is Arizona, and I'm almost at the point that I feel a bit sorry for them. 11 games, no wins. Now, I do think it'll happen this week. Yep. They've gone 11. They've lost. They get Philly on Monday. They get Detroit on Tuesday. Those are the next 2 games for the Arizona Coyotes. I think the victory comes in Detroit. Yep, I think the victory will come in Detroit. Things have gone just about as badly as they can for the Yotes on the ice, and now there's the whole why bother doing this in Arizona? Big changes over the summer. It's been hard for Arizona. I kind of feel for them. They made some big moves. They made some dramatic moves. You brought in Derek Stepan. Okay, that's a help. He's not a number 1 center on a good team, but he's a help. Brought in Antti Ranta, the guy you think is going to play goal for years to come, and he gets hurt after a game and a half. The rest of your roster, they're young. Half of them probably don't shave yet. They're going to make a lot of mistakes. If you got a good goalie, you can cover up a lot of mistakes, though. And Louis Domingue is giving all he can, but he's only got so much to give. So Arizona will be there, but it's going to take time. Oh, another thing I wanted to get into today. I mentioned this a little bit on our Little Saturday podcast, which is our Wednesday podcast. You can subscribe through iTunes, through iHeartRadio, also available on the Hockey Unfiltered app. I mentioned this on our Little Saturday podcast, a little bit of weekend in the middle of the week, and that's how we got the name. I wanted to go into it a little bit more because hockey on TV frustrates me sometimes. It seems there's more concern about getting a good national rating on any given night than it does about providing a long-term plan to generate a bigger audience and get a consistently big rating. I'm not griping. I understand there's all kinds of rules in terms of determining which games get on television on a national basis. I'm not talking about local TV because everybody's game gets on TV locally. These are the national games that go coast to coast. And there's a lot of rules. You can only be on a certain number of times, and you want the best matchups, and there's only certain nights. But last week, NBCSN, Tuesday night, they chose to televise Detroit Red Wings, Buffalo Sabres. Neither team a real glamorous choice right now because of the seasons they're having. They both got loyal fan bases, though, and they generate decent local TV numbers, so they figured they'd get a good national number. And I managed to find it this morning after hunting around for the last couple of days, 239,000, which incredibly was up significantly from the previous year. That's not a big number. That's not a really big number. And this was Tuesday night, a big night, a busy night in the NHL. Detroit and Buffalo was the choice. On the same night, the Edmonton Oilers are playing in Pittsburgh against the Penguins. Guy named Connor McDavid, guy named Sidney Crosby. Is Connor McDavid taking over from Crosby as the greatest player in the league? This is the game that needed to be on TV. I understand you want the biggest possible audience. Pittsburgh gets a good audience. They have good local TV ratings. Edmonton is brutal in terms of a U.S. TV number. No one cares. But because there's Connor McDavid, that's a reason to care. It's like, okay, well, we didn't get them on this time. Maybe we can get them on later. They play again Wednesday, November the 1st, and that game isn't on national TV in the U.S. It should be. Two of the best players in the NHL. But they're both Canadian. You want U.S. focus. Okay. That's fine. I'll give you that. What's on national Canadian TV on Wednesday night, November the 1st? Connor McDavid, Sidney Crosby. So maybe you want to get a high-profile American. Great. Austin Matthews. He's going to be the best American player in the league. Yeah, I think he's going to be better than Eichel. U.S.-born, rising star, great story. Born in the Southwest, scores 4 goals in his first game. Yes, he plays for Toronto, but Toronto is a much more well-known city than Edmonton. There'll be a better draw, and it's McDavid against Crosby, 2 big stars, the current star of the game, and the up-and-coming rising star. Well, the Leafs and the Penguins play 3 times this year, December 9th, February 17th, and March the 10th. 3 times this season. They are all Saturday night games, and none of them are on U.S. national TV. This is a big missed opportunity to promote the game, to grow the game in a most positive way. The most talented players, the greatest amount of skill on display. You can't guarantee that it's going to be a great game, but this at least gives you the best opportunity. This is like what we were talking about yesterday, portraying the league in the best possible light, showing the best side of it, trying to cut through that cliche response of, oh yeah, hockey, where they fight all the time. I know Edmonton is not a great rating city, a great team, but you can't just keep showing Pittsburgh, Rangers, Philadelphia, some Detroit, some Chicago, some Washington. Those are about the half dozen teams that it mostly revolves through. St. Louis drops in occasionally. Again, I understand that there are a great number of rules and regulations as to how many times you can appear on national TV and scheduling and building availability, and it all plays into it. But when you have arguably the 2 best players in the National Hockey League that only play head-to-head twice, do you not move mountains to try to get at least one of those games on television? This is the player who has been number 1 in the National Hockey League for the last decade, and likely the player that is going to be the number 1 player in the league for the next decade. Anytime they're meeting head-to-head, I want to try to have it on TV. National TV, not local TV. I want as many people as possible to see this. And sure, there are costs involved. I get that. And again, lots of rules about how many times teams can appear, etc. Now, you want the defending Stanley Cup champions on as many times as you can. Wouldn't having Sid and the best player in the league face Connor McDavid, the next player in the league that will be the best, face off at least once on national TV to promote your game in the best possible way? Make that happen. I know 239,000 is what the number was on Tuesday. Well, that's not an enormous number. It's better than what has gone on in the previous 2 years, but it's not an enormous number. If it's a cost thing, pick up the feed from one of the local broadcasts. There are ways to work around the cost. But this game, at least one of these games, has got to be on national TV. These are your best players. What about Austin Matthews? He's the next best. Nope. 3 Saturdays, not going to be on national TV. This is a missed opportunity, and it's frustrating because I want to show the game off to as many people as I can, because this is when it's going to be played at its highest level. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, the Twitter and Instagram handles. One of the teams that played in one of the most dramatic games on Saturday, the Los Angeles Kings. Whew. We'll talk a little bit of LA Kings and a few other things with Josh Cooper from NHL.com coming up in our next segment. Before the hour is done, our regular visit from Stephen Laidlaw, the managing editor of DobberHockey.com, with this week's Fantasy 5, hashtag Fantasy 5. and a few other things as well. Some other good stories. We'll look ahead to some of the games coming up on the schedule this week. There's some really good matchups. I was going through the list of the coming week. There's some really good and interesting, worthwhile games checking out this week. One of them involves Connor McDavid and Sidney Crosby on Wednesday. And if you live in Canada or get the Center Ice package or subscribe to NHL TV, you'll be able to watch it anywhere. But it won't be on national TV in the U.S. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis, back after the break.
The best way to get set for the busy Saturday night of hockey is with Hockey Primetime. Beginning at 5 p.m. Eastern, host Connor McKenna whips you around the league for the latest stories and info leading up to the early game starts. Plus, he'll give his own spin on the biggest stories in the National Hockey League. Hockey Primetime with Connor McKenna. Sometimes serious, sometimes a little goofy, but always interesting. Listen live at hockeyprimetime.com, 5 p.m. Eastern every Saturday. Creativity and innovation are the hallmarks of Nova Product Design. Whether it's mechanical or industrial, cutting-edge technology and a commitment to excellence make Nova Product Design the company to choose. Prototypes and beta units are a Nova Product Design specialty. Striving for revolutionary new ideas and methods keep Nova Product Design at the forefront of innovation. Visit novaproductdesign.com and learn more. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis sends you to the biggest events at the best prices. This year, we've partnered with Seat Giant to give you special deals on tickets to NHL games, concerts, or other events. Simply go to SeatGiant.com, find the tickets you want. When you check out, use the promo code TODD for a special discount. That's promo code TODD for a special discount. Start saving with SeatGiant.com on your next purchase. Being on the World Wide Web is great. Being found is the tricky part. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Search engine optimization is the only way your business can get a leg up on the competition. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. For the necessary tools to make your business stand out in a crowded marketplace, 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Now it's even easier to nominate your dog as the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day. We do it every Saturday. Send us a photo on Twitter or now on Instagram with the hashtag HU Dog of the Day. We choose a winner every Saturday. That's simple. Now on Instagram or Twitter, send us the photo using the hashtag HU Dog of the Day, and your dog could be the one added to our gallery on the website and Facebook page. It's the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day every Saturday.
Welcome back. Saturday and Sunday, it's Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific, streaming live at hockeyunfiltered.com, powered by Primetime Radio, at Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, the Twitter and Instagram handles before the hour is out. Our regular visit with Stephen Laidlaw, the managing editor of DobberHockey.com, with this week's Fantasy 5. Hashtag Fantasy 5 help for you in your fantasy hockey pool. It was the most spectacular ending to a game we have seen so far this season. Los Angeles Kings, Boston Bruins on Saturday. At the end of overtime, the puck goes in and gives the Kings an overtime victory. Josh Coover is a Kings contributor to NHL.com, a free agent on the work horizon, like so many of us. You can follow him on Twitter at Joshua Cooper. And I've just found out Josh is a new dad. Are you a new dad, Josh? Congratulations.
That is correct. I was dealing with a meltdown at 3 a.m. today. Caffeinated and ready to go for this radio hit. It's been quite a ride so far. He's 4 weeks and a day now. So he's starting to seem more like a human and less like an alien, which is pretty cool.
I guess we'll take that as a positive and the step in the right direction, but that's wonderful.
Oh, it is.
News.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, for sure. Like when they come out, it's like, they kind of look like you, but you're like, wait, you kind of, that's the thing with newborns is that they just look so different. And then as they get older, they start to look more and more, less like, these kind of little things and more like, real people. It's pretty cool.
Now, I'm not a parent, but
Enjoying
I've
every
heard
second
this.
of it. I mean,
Good. I'm not a parent, but I've heard this from friends, from family, my brother, my sister, and others, that there are times that that they have just sat and stared at their new baby. Have you done that yet?
oh yeah, 100%. I mean, that's the thing is, as I said, he was melting down around 3 a.m. local time here in Los Angeles. I mean, you still look at him and you're just drawn to this little person. It's so cool. I mean, yeah, you just kind of look at him and you're like, oh wow, that's my child. And it's sort of this kind of jolt of adulthood that you never thought that you'd ever receive, but it's still really great. And I mean, we with him yesterday. We took him to a restaurant, and he stayed calm. There were no meltdowns then. As I said, he saved it for 3 a.m. So, but I'll take brunch over. I'll take a meltdown at 3 a.m. over a meltdown at brunch any day of the week.
Good stuff. Well, that's wonderful news. Congratulations, and wonderful. Now, to shift focus to talk a little bit about hockey. I said it was the best finish to a game this season. I'm not sure how you dispute that. When LA wins in less than a second remaining on the clock, Tyler Toffoli whips the puck past Tuukka Rask. I mean, this is why I guess teams practice this. This is why they do it. And this is the first and only time I recall seeing something like this actually occur in my lifetime.
Well, perfect execution too. I mean, Andre Toffoli, and I think one of the things that helped him was the fact that the puck was rolling a little bit, and it kind of, the way it knuckled heading towards Tuukka Rask, it looked like it was a bit of a change up, and he didn't see it quite well coming off the stick. I mean, I'm not Tuukka Rask, so I didn't see how he saw it, but that's kind of watching the game on television how I saw it, and it was just perfect execution. And hockey, growing up, I played hockey, and one of the things that they always say when you play is that it's a game of mistakes, so you have to be really patient. There was no mistake by the Kings on that play. It was 100%, exactly how it had to go. And in that situation, if you're going to score a goal, and granted, we all thought they weren't going to score, there's just no room for error with what they did. And Boston is every mistake that you could possibly make. They weren't helped out by the fact that, again, the puck was rolling a little bit, which I think kind of knuckled on Rask heading towards the net. And Toffoli just put it right where you have to put it, again, despite the fact that the puck was rolling, which, actually helped him out, it seemed like, just watching the replay. I don't know if you guys saw it where you were watching. One of the best things that we saw watching at least with me watching on television, was cutting to the studio afterwards with the Kings broadcast back in Los Angeles, I believe, with Patrick O'Neill and Jared Stoll, and they were just watching what just happened, and then you have to do a broadcast after that, and they I mean, they were awesome. I think they hit being surprised, excited, and then having to explain everything. I mean, really, again, I don't think people nationally saw that just because the broadcast cuts off if you're watching the package, but that was one of the best parts for me, was watching them try to explain it. And again, I mean, it's kind of also watching the post that the John Rosen, the Kings insider, asked Toffoli, something to the effect of, did you do what you wanted to do? And I mean, hearing Toffoli try to explain it, I mean, it was kind of hilarious in the sense of, when you're a pro athlete, you're in that situation, just grip it and rip it. It's just basically what it comes down to, and he was able to do it.
But it's a little bit, sure, there's that part of it from Tyler Toffoli, but there was also, and I'm glad you emphasized this, there is the execution. This was what exactly had intended. This wasn't just a 100% good luck fluke the way it happened. Kopitar won the faceoff. Now, he benefited in that he was going up against David Pastrnak, because the Bruins had iced the puck and they couldn't get Patrice Bergeron out on the ice, which may have resulted in a different story. But he won the faceoff, and if Toffoli wasn't in the right position to receive it, then there was a chance it might have been Drew Doughty, because he was also lined up right at the top of the circle. This was the plan. Now, it works 1 in a million times, but this went exactly as they had planned it to go.
Well, and you mentioned that's exactly how they planned it. I mean, Toffoli is without Jeff Carter out there, he's their best goal scorer. So because of that, he's got their best shot accuracy, all that stuff. And for Kopitar, and again, I mean, even though he was going Bergeron, you still have to win it, and you still have to win it in the right direction. That's a credit to Kopitar for really bearing down and making draw and getting it to the right guy. And then Toffoli just putting it right in the right spot again with a rolling puck, which blew my mind on so many levels. But yeah, I mean, whoever drew up that spot, everyone stood in the right spot, so clearly they listened to the coaching staff. It's just there's so many little things that have to go right in regards to that, to stick placement, the way the ref drops the puck, and it all went LA's way. And you said the best finish to a hockey game this year. As far as regular season games go, that miraculous happening in my I don't miraculous because there have been some pretty incredible finishes, but I've never seen a finish like that in my entire life. And I've been watching hockey for a while.
Yeah, it was pretty spectacular. Well, with the debate will, I'm sure, rage on as to whether, where this ranks in terms of the best finishes in regular season and the like. But it just, maybe this too is just part of an indication that the planets have aligned. There's good karma, but this is just kind of a bit of a charmed season that we're seeing in the first 4 weeks or so of the LA Kings. I'm at the point now where I didn't have high expectations for LA this year. I thought, okay, they brought in Camilleri. There's a couple other players. They changed coaches, but I wasn't expecting this kind of leap forward. Now, I'm pretty sure they're not going to continue the rest of the season with one regulation loss, but this has maybe changed my mind of what I have seen from LA in the first 3 to 4 weeks of the season as to what their potential is for this year.
Wait, so you're not saying you think it's going to be Vegas versus LA neck and neck for the Pacific this year?
I have my doubts still.
Yeah, and that's, to me, that's more on the Vegas end than the LA end. I mean, I really don't think that's sustainable for them. But in regards to LA, I think you're seeing kind of a post-Sutter effect where you have some talented players who are really kind of held back and injury. And again, despite the fact that do Stanley Cups and, a Hall of Fame coach. But, like there you got some guys who were held back. You had some players who kind of chafed under that system a little bit. And now Daryl's gone and John Stevens is there. And you have kind of this whole different mindset and different attitude. And I think everything in a lot of ways. And you're seeing kind of these players, I don't want to say unshackled to a degree. I feel like they have a lot more freedom to do a lot more things. And I think that that's been pretty important in regard. And, you're seeing Dustin Brown playing really well. You're seeing Drew Doughty, Jake Muzzin, these guys putting up big point totals. And I think on top of that too, and we saw this, I think, and I used to cover in Nashville, so I have a pretty keen understanding of it. I'm not trying to always bring things back to them, but when Peter Laviolette was in his first year as coach, nobody really knew how to scout them. Had an incredible start to their year. I think you're seeing that with LA in the sense that nobody has any idea how to scout this team right now. If they have any idea how to scout them, they can take advantage of it, and they're doing a great job of it so far.
Okay, so I think we're in agreement that it's not going to be LA and Vegas going down to the final week of March and into the first part of April as the season ends, is battling for the number one spot in the Pacific Division. It's LA, it's Vegas, and Vancouver now, the top three spots in the Pacific Division, which is mind-boggling. What do you see happening in that Pacific Division? Anaheim is starting to get some bodies healthy. San Jose looks much better now than they did at the start of the year. And Edmonton, though, is still down towards the bottom. What do you see happening in the time ahead?
Hey, to be honest, I think it's going to kind of be back to what it normally is with the three California teams. And Calgary are certainly going to get maybe one of them makes the wild card, the other one doesn't. But I think that there were a lot of questions about San Jose at the start of the answer them in regards to how they played on this past road trip, coming out of their first couple games, which was really poor on their end. They've really responded very well. They're getting some people healthy. They still haven't played with Ryan Kessler this season. And I think that when he comes back, that's going to change. Whoa, sorry, there's a dog behind me right now. I'm pretty sure that's going to change everything for the most part. And overall, I just think it's going to end up being the 3 California teams that are just going to be kind of the cream of the crop in the Pacific. Maybe this could be their last go-around in some respects just because of respective ages and a few other things. But I think that's sort of what with this Pacific Division this year.
I wonder if Anaheim might be feeling, I don't know if it's going to be feeling the pressure, or just, I kind of almost want to portray them as the Washington of the West. Okay, so we brought in Ryan Miller this year, and we're going to let Ryan Kessler have his surgery and get healthy, and we're doing all the things that everybody seems to recommend so that we can make that one more go at the Cup, kind of the way Washington did. Well, here's an area, we've addressed it, and I'm just kind of feeling them in that sort of category right now.
Yes and no. I mean, I think that Anaheim showed last year they still have a team that could go to the Cup final. They just, really.
I'm not saying they won't.
Choked against Nashville in some respects. Yeah. I mean, I think the one thing that we continuously underrate about Anaheim every year, myself included, is the fact that, Ryan Getzlaf is the future Hall of Famer and a bona fide stud hockey player. He's been one of the best hockey players of the post lockout era. And on top of that, they have a system that's to turn out incredible players. And it's almost like one guy leaves and they have someone else to fill his spot. And that's how they're able to deal with all these injuries. And then these guys come back, the injured players come back, and they're in great shape because all these younger players got experience, and then they're suddenly NHL players. So I think they're different from Washington in that regard, because Washington has really sort of been built around this one superstar and everything what Alex Ovechkin has done. And I think Anaheim is more of a team. I think they've had a lot more as in the playoffs. They've had 2 conference final appearances in the last, I think it's 3 years, and they did win a Stanley Cup in 2007 with some of these core pieces. So it's incredible that they're still there. Not all of them, but some of them are still there from that 07 team and still contributing at a very high level. So I think you've got to look out for Anaheim. And again, I think that we just underrate them in a lot of ways because we underrate Ryan Getzlaf, and there's just something about them that maybe it's just a lack of publicity in some respects about how good they've been and how good they are, just because they do play in Orange County and with the team in Los Angeles. But every year they just get it done. But you did mention the goaltending thing. I think that's been kind of an issue for them. John, his A+ game, to me at least, seems in comparison to everyone else that you see in the playoffs. And so maybe that's changed this year. He certainly has a ton of talent, but that's the way it's been. And maybe Ryan Miller pushes him to kind of reach that incredibly high potential we've seen from him. He carried some national teams in the past, such as I think he was the goalie of the 2013 U.S. World Junior team, and phenomenal in that tournament against some really good players. So I think we can't underrate them, but again, we always seem to underrate them, and it kind of confuses me because I do it too. And they're always there, and they're always really good.
Yeah, that's a fair point that you make. Josh Cooper from NHL.com, Kings contributor to NHL.com, also a free agent. At Joshua Cooper is how you follow him on Twitter. Congratulations, new dad. It was great to have you on, and hopefully we can do this again soon, and you'll send us baby pictures and an update occasionally.
Thanks. Also, work does appear on ESPN too, so all over the place. Just whoever wants me to write, I'll write for him. So
free agent. Free agent. There you go. Thanks, Josh. Appreciate it.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Take care. Bye. Josh
Cooper from NHL.com and other assorted outlets. That's some good points he brings up about the Anaheim Ducks, is that they are kind of underrated at times. It's just kind of Perry and Getzlaf, and to an extent Kessler. They've just kind of been there for so long and just consistently performed. And not enough people stay up late and watch Ricky Raquel play, because he is just a spectacular player and just continues to grow and blossom. Maybe one of the most underrated players goal scoring machines in the Pacific and out west because of where they play, and they don't get on national TV all the time. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports are the Twitter and Instagram handles. Todd at hockeyunfiltered.com, the email. A bunch of other stories. The Fantasy 5, hashtag Fantasy 5 coming up before the top of the hour. We'll look ahead to some of the games this week and much more. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis, back after the break.
There's special savings for Hockey Unfiltered listeners with our new ticket partner, Seat Giant. And Canadian fans can also purchase in Canadian dollars. Go to SeatGiant.ca, find the tickets you're looking for. Doesn't matter if it's NHL games, concerts, or any other event. You get a special discount with the promo code TODD. That's Todd with 2 Ds. Just enter the code, get the discount, you save. That's simple. Save on your next ticket purchase with Hockey Unfiltered and Seat Giant. The best way to get set for the busy Saturday night of hockey is with Hockey Prime Time. Beginning at 5 p.m. Eastern, host Connor McKenna whips you around the league for the latest stories and info leading up to the early game starts. Plus, he'll give his own spin on the biggest stories in the National Hockey League. Hockey Primetime with Connor McKenna. Sometimes serious, sometimes a little goofy, but always interesting. Listen live at hockeyprimetime.com, 5 p.m. Eastern every Saturday. Search engine optimization is the key to success for your online business. It can be the key to success for any business. 1-844-SEO-LEAD is the number to call to get your business at the top of all searches. An official partner of Google, they have the tools necessary to make your business the one people notice first. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Now you can nominate your dog or any dog you love as the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day through Instagram. Every Saturday, Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis will take your nominations for the Dog of the Day. Use the hashtag HU Dog of the Day. Send us a photo with the dog on Twitter or Instagram to nominate your dog. We choose a winner at the end of the show, and your dog will be recognized in the HU Dog of the Day gallery on our website and Facebook page. Hashtag HU Dog of the Day. Creativity and innovation are the hallmarks of Nova Product Design. Whether it's mechanical or industrial, cutting-edge technology and a commitment to excellence make Nova Product Design the company to choose. Prototypes and beta units are a Nova Product Design specialty. Striving for revolutionary new ideas and methods keep Nova Product Design at the forefront of innovation. Visit novaproductdesign.com and learn more.
Welcome back. This is Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. It's the Sunday edition here Saturdays and Sundays, 11 Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific, streaming live at hockeyunfiltered.com, powered by Primetime Radio. We're live on Facebook. We're live on Periscope. We're live on YouTube. Don't forget, subscribe to our podcast as well through iTunes, iHeartRadio, and on the Hockey Unfiltered app, now available at the App Store. Before the top of the hour, Stephen Laidlaw will join us with this week's Fantasy 5, hashtag Fantasy 5, help for you in your fantasy hockey pool. A whole bunch of stories that I want to try and squeeze in as many things as we can. I mentioned that we're kind of moving slowly into the next portion of the season. We no longer say it's early here. I haven't done that all week. It's not early here. You're kind of at the point where you look at teams and you think about any of the research that you've done or anything that you've read and seen about teams that maybe I was a little hasty. Just talking about the LA Kings in the last segment with Josh Cooper. Maybe I was a little hasty in my judgment. I mean, ripping off a 9-1-1 start. They've been great. Maybe I was a little hasty in saying, I don't think that this is going to be a playoff year for the LA Kings. After that incredible victory against Boston on Saturday, less than a second to play, they're a charmed team right now. Maybe some of that continues. And they're playing pretty well, too. I'll put the New Jersey Devils into this category. They just seem to be a bit of a team of destiny this year. Getting great performances from players that you didn't really see coming. The young enthusiasm that's in the lineup, not to mention the speed and skill. New York Islanders are showing signs of life. John Tavares. Oh, yeah, another hat trick. Yes, I say that just another hat trick because Tavares had 3 in the Islanders' 6-2 victory over the Nashville Predators on Saturday. And he had one 2 games earlier. That's 2 hat tricks in a week. Guess who's going to be one of the stars of the week in the NHL? Yeah, that would be John Tavares. St. Louis Blues are better than I figured that they would be. Thought all the injuries that they were dealing with, thought that might sink them, didn't think they'd be able to bounce back. Mike Yo's got them playing great. It's been fun to see. It's a lot of good stories early on in the year. It's not always about the numbers and the statistics. Oh, I should mention as well, too, one more time, our book of the month by Rob Volman. He was on with us a couple of weeks ago. The book is Hockey Abstract 2017, helps give you some insight and a better understanding of statistics. And it's a new way to, and a different way to understand the game and enjoy the game. It's a hockey book. It's not a textbook. It's not a math book or anything like that. It's just kind of gives you a different look and a different perspective on the game. It's not I got to cram and study for this to get through and read it. Rob Volman, the book is Hockey Abstract 2017. Now, there was another story over the last day or two that has understandably received a whole bunch of attention, despite the principal involved who didn't want to talk about it, didn't want to make a fuss at all. But it occurred Friday while in Edmonton. Alex Ovechkin was out with a couple of his Washington Capital teammates and noticed there was a homeless man on the street who wasn't adequately clothed for the weather. So Alex Ovechkin went into a store, bought him a sweater, bought him a jacket, bought him a hat. Someone else in the vicinity recognized Ovi, and they put the story out on social media, and that's how it started to get attention. That's what attracted everyone to it. Ovechkin, when asked about it on Saturday, downplayed the incident, didn't want to talk about it. Here's his quote. It's something I think if you saw a guy almost naked out there with a cold temperature, I think every human can do something, a coat or shirt or whatever. He's right. It's a great lesson there. A much bigger lesson than simply making a gesture of giving someone a coat or a shirt or whatever too. There's a bigger lesson involved. Everyone can do something. And as much as anything, I want the message of what Alex Ovechkin did to be, let's look for opportunities to do that instead of not acting and just noticing. It doesn't have to be a big gesture. Doesn't have to cost you any money. Let's just do something. If you're outside, you're on the street, you're in a shopping center, wherever, it doesn't matter. You see a piece of garbage, pick it up. You've done something. Oh, here's an easy one. Hold the door open for someone. I love doing that. Because anywhere I'll go, if I'm going in and out of a store or a business or whatever, I'll hold the door open for a person. Even if they're 5-10 steps away from me, I'll hold the door open for someone. And they're genuinely appreciative. I was out a couple days ago, and I noticed a woman who was getting into her car drop something out of her bag. And there were 3 or 4 other people around, and nobody said anything. And I'm pretty sure at least a couple of them noticed that she had dropped something. And I just said, ma'am, you've dropped something out of your bag. And I picked it up and I handed it to her. She was really nice. She was really appreciative. She was really thankful that I did that. It's everybody can do something. I've been on the receiving end of it too. And it's nice. A while back, my car broke down as I was going. I was actually going out to get it repaired and looked at. There was an issue with it. And I'm stopped on the side of the road. So, I'm not in a precarious spot or in a bad situation or anything like that. And I'm waiting for a tow truck to come and get me. Takes a while for it to arrive. And it is summer and it is steaming hot in Florida. I had 2 people pull over to the side of the road where I was. I wasn't in a bad spot. There was room to pull up. 2 people pulled over and said, "Hey, are you okay? Do you need some help? Do you need me to call someone? Do you have help on the way?" "Yes, thank you." They also offered me water because again, it's stinking hot in Florida. A little civility, little random act of kindness, little good deed. I know it's really corny, it's really cliche, makes a difference. If you can do something the way Alex Ovechkin did as well, good for you. That's wonderful. But it doesn't have to be that big. Just a small, simple little gesture makes you a better person, makes you a better citizen. Just a little bit of effort, a little bit of goodwill. It far outweighs the effort that's necessary to do that. Pick up a piece of garbage, hold the door open for somebody. Just a little thing like that makes a huge difference. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, and you don't have to, it's not about getting recognized for it as well, the way Alex Ovechkin approached it. He didn't want to talk about it. It was just something that he felt he needed to do, and everyone can do a little bit. It's not about the pat on the back. It's about doing the right thing and being a good citizen. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, Todd at hockeyunfiltered.com is the email address. Stephen Laidlaw in our next segment, and we will look ahead to some of the games on the schedule this week. There's some good matchups that you want to check out. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis, back after the break.
The best way to get set for the busy Saturday night of hockey is with Hockey Primetime. Beginning at 5 p.m. Eastern, host Connor McKenna whips you around the league for the latest stories and info leading up to the early game starts. Plus, he'll give his own spin on the biggest stories in the National Hockey League. Hockey Primetime with Connor McKenna. Sometimes serious, sometimes a little goofy, but always interesting. Listen live at hockeyprimetime.com, 5 p.m. Eastern every Saturday. Creativity and innovation are the hallmarks of Nova Product Design. Whether it's mechanical or industrial, cutting-edge technology and a commitment to excellence make Nova Product Design the company to choose. Prototypes and beta units are a Nova Product Design specialty. Striving for revolutionary new ideas and methods keep Nova Product Design at the forefront of innovation. Visit novaproductdesign.com and learn more. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis sends you to the biggest events at the best prices. This year, we've partnered with Seat Giant to give you special deals on tickets to NHL games, concerts, or other events. Simply go to SeatGiant.com, find the tickets you want. When you check out, use the promo code TODD for a special discount. That's promo code TODD for a special discount. Start saving with SeatGiant.com on your next purchase. Being on the World Wide Web is great. Being found is the tricky part. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Search engine optimization is the only way your business can get a leg up on the competition. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. For the necessary tools to make your business stand out in a crowded marketplace, 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Now it's even easier to nominate your dog as the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day. We do it every Saturday. Send us a photo on Twitter or now on Instagram with the hashtag HU Dog of the Day. We choose a winner every Saturday. That's simple. Now on Instagram or Twitter, send us the photo using the hashtag HU Dog of the Day, and your dog could be the one added to our gallery on the website and Facebook page. It's the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day every Saturday.
Welcome back. Final segment of Sunday, Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis, streaming live on hockeyunfiltered.com, powered by Primetime Radio, live on Facebook, live on Periscope, on YouTube Live, and subscribe to our podcast through iTunes, through iHeartRadio, and on the Hockey Unfiltered app. It's the moment we wait for every week because we know there is help on the way if we need it. A little scoring help, a little defensive help, perhaps. Stephen Laidlaw, the managing editor of DobberHockey.com, with this week's Fantasy 5, hashtag Fantasy 5. Follow Steve on Twitter at Steve Laidlaw, and he joins us now. Steve, how are you? Having a good week in fantasy?
Yeah, it's been a pretty good week so far. Having a tough time separating myself from the pack, but I mean, it's still early. You know, a point here, a point there in the stand. It's up by season's end.
There you go. That's it. Okay, let's get into this week's Fantasy 5. Name number 1 on the New York Islanders is Josh Bailey because of who he's playing with, and that can be a big benefit to him.
Absolutely. Bailey's he's back up on the top line with John Tavares. He's getting top power play minutes again. This is a spot for him where, I mean, the team and top power play. They were really dynamic through the second half of last season. Bailey was producing at about a 60-point pace from December onward in that role. They showed a ton of chemistry. It was one of the best lines in the league. He's back up there replacing Jordan Eberle. Eberle produced well playing on the second line, second power play unit yesterday. Big splash for him. Long term, Bailey's probably the better option just because of exposure to Tavares. So I think that he'd be a sneaky little waiver wire pickup for a lot of folks.
Name number 2 on Steve's Fantasy 5 this week is Clayton Keller. And just because the Arizona Coyotes aren't winning games yet doesn't mean you shouldn't have Clayton Keller. He scored a beautiful goal last night. Boy, he looks terrific.
Yeah, he's a phenomenal talent. I think that a puck is flying into a net every time he's on the ice, whether his own or the opponent's net. It's fantastic. He's piling up huge shots. Shooting the crap out of the puck, which he's always heavily involved. If he can stomach the poor plus minus, you're getting a guy who he's scoring at a point per game pace right now, and I can't imagine that he would hit the rookie wall.
This is the Fantasy 5 from Stephen Laidlaw, the managing editor of DobberHockey.com. Hashtag Fantasy 5. You can follow Steve on Twitter at Steve Laidlaw. And name number 3, little help for you in your fantasy hockey pool. Alexander Steen of the St. Louis Blues, back from injury and producing points.
Absolutely. He's basically a 60-point player who doesn't play 80. At this stage of his career, he just gets nicked up a little bit. So he's probably going to produce more like 50 points, but he's going to produce at a 60 relevant in all fantasy leagues. So, he's a guy, decent shot volume, but he's also being used on the top power play unit. So you're getting good exposure to Tarasenko. And, that second line with Stastny and Sobotka isn't too shabby itself. So I think he'd be very useful for you.
And name number 4 comes from the New York Rangers. The young players maybe are going to get a little more chance with the New York Rangers because, well, they've been able to produce a little bit. Pavel Buchnevich is name number 4 on the Fantasy 5. What do you like about him?
He's one of their most dynamic offensive players. They currently have him playing on the fourth line. With the way that teams roll lines now, I wouldn't say that's necessarily a negative. And he's still getting top power play unit ice time. I think he's going to be bouncing all over the lineup all season because they just aren't a very good team. So you're going to kind of have to ride a little bit of a roller coaster. The guy is capable of producing in the 50-point range, and I think that with some decent power play minutes, he could produce a lot of power play points, which would be advantageous for you.
And the final member of this week's Fantasy 5 from Steve Laidlaw is Ivan Provorov of the Philadelphia Flyers. Now, that could really be good for you if you're able to get Provorov because Gostisbehere was injured on Saturday night, in the game against the Toronto Maple Leafs, and we're not sure of how severe that injury is yet.
Yeah, I'd have to imagine that it's a concussion for Gostisbehere. His face, head, all got smushed into the boards, and with it, all of an unfortunate injury. But with every injury comes an opportunity, and certainly Provorov is a guy who is an elite fantasy defenseman. It's just a matter of opportunity, and at this point, it looks like he seems like a good bet to be jumping onto that tent pole of a power play unit in Philadelphia. So he could produce at Gostisbehere's level over the next week or two, depending on how long Gostisbehere is out.
That's the Fantasy 5 from Stephen Laidlaw, managing editor of DobberHockey.com. Hashtag Fantasy 5 at Steve Laidlaw to follow him on Twitter. And Steve provides good updates through the week on how players are doing as well. Steve, thanks for this. Great stuff as always. And we'll do it again next Sunday.
Yeah, sounds good, Todd. Best of luck in your pool this coming week. Hopefully you can make a little...
Fingers crossed. Hoping
points in the standings.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Hoping to make a move. It's good. It's going to depend on the goaltending today, but I'm optimistic that will be in good shape. Here's the Fantasy Five one more time. We've tweeted it out. It's up on our Instagram account. We'll put it up on Facebook as well. Josh Bailey of the New York Islanders playing with John Tavares. Well, sure, the puck's going to hit him occasionally. He's going to pick up points for sure. Clayton Keller, if you haven't seen him play yet, worth tuning in to the Arizona Coyotes, even though they're losing games. He's a sensation to watch. Alexander Steen of the St. Louis Blues, Pavel Buchnevich of the New York Rangers, and Ivan Provorov of the Philadelphia Flyers. We will wait and see what happens with Shane Gostisbehere. There was no update today from the Philadelphia Flyers on Sunday, the day off for the Philadelphia Flyers, so no further update on his condition after getting hammered into the boards on Saturday night by Leo Komarov of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Boy, that was just one of a couple of really nasty, dirty hits. That one, it was a shove from behind. The numbers were clearly visible. No penalty was called. Let's hope it was just a mistake. Let's hope it's rectified by the league. And I think it is suspension worthy. Yeah, no problem. Definitely worth a few games. There was another one, too, in the Detroit and Philadelphia game. This one also was unpenalized. It was a race for a puck and trying to negate an icing that Evgeny Dadonov was chasing down. The icing got waved off, but then Dadonov didn't exactly play the puck. He played the shoulder of Nick Kronwall and sent him into a crumpled heap into the end boards. It was a brutal play. It's a dirty play, much like the Leo Komarov one. Both are suspension worthy. I know a couple of players have been fined this year for offenses after the fact. There was a slash or a high stick that was fine. There was a slash as well. I can certainly see both players being a little lighter in terms of dollars in their pocket. I'd be okay if both of them were suspended for those plays as well. They were really dirty. They were really dirty plays. Looking ahead to some of the games coming up this week, it's a light 3-game Sunday schedule. NHL doesn't kick into the busy Sunday schedule till after football season, but 3 games, including a late afternoon contest with the Anaheim Ducks and Carolina to take on the Hurricanes. Personally, I like Carolina in this one because they didn't play on Saturday. Anaheim Ducks did. It's less than 24 hours. I kind of like Carolina in this one. I'm really hoping that Carolina does well in this one because that's going to be my goalie start today, Scott Darling. Pittsburgh is in Winnipeg and Washington is in Calgary. Those are the 3 games on Sunday. Some good matchups on Monday. The schedule is a bit wonky this week because it's Halloween on Tuesday. So Tuesday is a light night and Monday is a little bit bigger or busier than usual. Vegas and the New York Islanders. Can the Vegas Golden Knights keep winning? I think we're going to find out a little bit about the Vegas Golden Knights over the next week to 10 days as they hit the road. 6 on the road, and then it's 8 of 9 on the road in total, I believe. Boston is in Columbus on Monday. Montreal and Ottawa. Habs had a victory at home against the New York Rangers on Saturday. Everything's great again, right? Well, they didn't make it easy on themselves because they got up to a 3-0 lead and then gave it all back. I don't know. LA will try to keep winning in St. Louis, and the warm and fuzzy celebration game is going to be in San Jose at the Shark Tank as the Toronto Maple Leafs take on the San Jose Sharks. And Patrick Marleau will make his return to San Jose. Yes, played his entire career with the San Jose Sharks until signing with the Toronto Maple Leafs as a free agent in the summer. That will be a nice return. Vegas and the Rangers on Tuesday. Arizona, Detroit on Tuesday. That's where I think the Arizona Coyotes get their first victory. Arizona plays Philly on Monday. Not sure it happens there, but I do think that Arizona will get the victory in Detroit. Philly and Chicago Wednesday, Pittsburgh and Edmonton, Connor McDavid against Sidney Crosby for the second time in just over a week. Canadian television will be broadcasting it nationally, not so much in the U.S., and that's disappointing. I think it's a missed opportunity. Toronto continues out west in Anaheim, Nashville, and San Jose. Rangers in Tampa on Thursday, Columbus in Florida, Phillies in St. Louis, Toronto in LA on Thursday, and then they make their way to St. Louis on Saturday. And New Jersey, Edmonton could be a really interesting game. New Jersey heads out west now. After a couple of days off, they will head out west. And Nashville is in Anaheim. Some good matchups this week. Thanks to Steve Laidlaw from DauberHockey.com. Thanks to Josh Cooper. Thanks to Corey Hirsch. And thanks to Dave Isaac, all for joining us. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, the Twitter and Instagram handles. Subscribe to our podcast, including our Little Saturday podcast. We'll have a new one for you on Wednesday. You can subscribe at iTunes and iHeartRadio, and also now available on the Hockey Unfiltered app through the App Store. Have a great week of hockey. Back with you next Saturday and Sunday.
So you had to get groceries, take your daughter to dance class, and a pipe burst in the kitchen. You missed Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. No problem. All of our shows are available as a podcast right after the show airs, so you can listen when life gets in the way of hearing us live. Subscribe through iTunes and get alerts as soon as the podcast is available, or go to our website, hockeyunfiltered.com, and listen. Plus, check out the other cool stuff. The Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis podcast. Subscribe now through iTunes. Get your business started getting more leads. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. The number to call if you want more online leads for your business is 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Search engine optimization can be the difference between success and failure. It's no coincidence which businesses are listed first in Google searches. Call 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis sends you to the biggest events at the best prices. This year, we've partnered with Seat Giant to give you special deals on tickets to NHL games, concerts, or other events. Simply go to SeatGiant.com, find the tickets you want. When you check out, use the promo code TODD for a special discount. That's promo code TODD for a special discount. Start saving with SeatGiant.com on your next purchase. Nova Product Design is designed for manufacturing. Nova Product Design can get the job done with mechanical and industrial design. Nova Product Design is also fully functional for laser cutting, water jet cutting, plating, coatings, and more. Nova Product Design, innovative design and the latest technologies. Nova Product Design can design, build, and test any required types of prototypes and beta units. Visit NovaProductDesign.com. We're looking for your Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day nominations every Saturday. Now you can send them through Instagram. Use the hashtag HU Dog of the Day. Send us a photo of your dog on Twitter or Instagram to nominate them as the HU Dog of the Day. Include your name, the dog's name, and any other cool details you want. We choose a winner and add them to the Dog of the Day gallery on our website and Facebook page. It's the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day every Saturday. Hashtag HU Dog of the Day.